Hey guys, check it out. I wanted to ask you a question. Have you ever considered yourself as the slave or the master? Because we're playing one of them or both of them throughout our lives. So right now we might think, well, slavery is gone already, so we don't have to worry about that. But you know, back in the day when people were sold in the marketplace and taken in shackles away from their homes, away from their families to go labor for someone else, and that else, whoever that was either the wife, their master. It was their master, and now we still have that. And during that time as a slave, none of your true desires or your sense of fulfillment could ever be met because you were living in other people's terms. You were living in the service of other people. It's good to live in the service of other people, but not as a slave. There's got to be an element of self-fulfillment for you to be very prosperous in your own life. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me how he felt very stifled in his relationship. That's how this whole topic came up. And he was telling me that his girlfriend was telling him she didn't like how he was doing his hair, and she was not being affectionate to him anymore because she was mad at him for something, and that anger would last weeks and beyond. So that took away from his level of happiness and joy in the relationship. But he didn't want to leave the relationship because he did feel love for her. The only problem is he felt like he was a hostage in the relationship because the things that he wanted, the needs that he had, weren't being met. And now this is something that we have in our relationships with our own selves and with our employers anyways. But with him is she was trying to define a level of love. Like the way she was expressing love wasn't the way that she wanted him to express love. So she had an idea of how love should be expressed, and his method to expressing love based on his own life experiences and his upbringing wasn't on par with hers. It didn't match. Not a big deal, but you have to understand love is a flux, it's unbound. It's not meant to be contained, it's not meant to be defined in a certain way. When you try to define love, it becomes shackled and it becomes hindered. So the thing about love, there's two different ways to look at love. There's emotional love, and then there's vibrational love. So emotional love is associated with the intellect, which means I love you because, or I love you if, or this is how you love, right? Because you're in the mind, you're intellectualizing how love should be shared. But the problem is, whenever you're in the mind, you're in the house of the ego, and the ego is your greatest adversary in life. Anytime you have an idea or an opinion, or you have something you want to do in your life that's different from what you're currently doing, your ego is going to step in and be like, no, don't do it. It's not going to work. You're going to fail. There's too many people doing this, and you're not good enough, whatever it is. That's the ego. That's your greatest adversary. So you want to stay outside of emotional love because it has its limits. Now, the other part is there's vibrational love. So vibrational love means it's just a vibration. It's outside of the intellect. And vibrational love transcends everything, time and space. So everything is held together through vibration. So if you want to identify that as love or joy or whatever it is, it's just pure vibration. So now when you connect with vibrational love, you become liberated. And that's one way to overcome that idea of being the slave or the master. You want to become the master. So becoming the master means connecting with vibrational love. That gives you liberation. Sanskrit has a word for liberation. It's called moksha, or Punjabi they call it mukti, right? So another way to overcome your sense of slavery, remember, so slavery isn't just something that we are imposed on by other people, other people's ideas, other people's opinions. That's ours too, because we may have a limited idea of living. We have ideas in our mind that we want to do, but we do them a certain way. I'll give you a quick example. We want a lifestyle of health, so we decide to be a vegetarian. So as a vegetarian, you're doing it because you want to be healthy, or you're doing it because your family's doing it, it's a religious thing and whatever it is. But as a vegetarian, you may desire to eat meat. So that makes you a hypocrite. And the reason why that makes you a hypocrite is because one part of you is going through the motions of being a vegetarian, while the other part, your mind, or your heart, whatever it is desiring something else, desiring to eat meat. That creates tension, and through that tension, you're gonna be at unrest. So you're a slave to your own self once again. So to become a master of yourself, what you want to do is you become liberated by detaching from those expectations of other people that are imposing on you, or detaching from your reasons for doing something. Like being a vegetarian, you're doing it because you want to please other people, so you gotta get rid of that. So another way of doing that is I lost my train of thought because I know I'm at 5 minutes right now. Another way is to indulge. So when you desire as a vegetarian to eat meat, try it, but don't. There's a difference between indulgence and excess. So indulgence is when you try something, which is good, okay, whatever. But when there's excess, what you're doing is you're eating meat. Boom, 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 you're eating meat again. And as a vegetarian, you wanted to indulge and try something and help to overcome your desires, because desires never die, right? If they are repressed, they'll just build up and create great turmoil within. So as a person who just does things in excess, you're doing it without consciousness. And you're a human being, not a human doing. So what that means is if you just do, you're going to do things unconsciously, and there's not going to be a lesson learned. There's no evolution. There's no sense of awakening. There's no mastery that comes from it, because you're just doing things on autopilot. But when you do things in indulgence and you eat a meat, or if you do whatever it is, you want to do it with presence, embody it, take a single bite of that, whatever it was that you were desiring, and just feel how your body, your mind, and your energetic state starts to respond. So when you're able to do that, you start to find liberation. So once again, you're shifting from being the slave to becoming the master. So I have to make this short. I'm going too much over time. But check out my full read at paulniger.com. My last name is spelled Nijar. See ya.